Hi, this is Mrs. Lewicki, and I'm talking to you about therapeutic communication today. We use therapeutic communication in healthcare. It helps to bridge situations. It helps. Sometimes the client will or the patient will open up more to you if you use some types of therapeutic communication. It helps them with healing, and so it is an important thing for us to use. We're You have a discussion board where you're going to talk about different styles of therapeutic techniques. So I'm not going to get into too many of them right now. But you want to start embracing some of these techniques. When you're using therapeutic communication, you want to adapt it to each situation, and that helps improve that. It's not a one size fit all process. And so some things work with some clients than others. And you want to use a holistic approach to communication. Empathizing is one of the therapeutic techniques. It's a process. People feel with one another, and it's not the same thing as sympathy. You want to make sure that it's not that. Sympathy is feeling sorry for them. Empathy means that you can basically put yourself in that situation, or that what that client says is very important, and you want to embrace the attitude of that person who's speaking. You want to, sorry, empathy interprets the client's feelings without inserting your own. It's the ability to put oneself in another situation. There's four phases: identification, incorporation, reverberation, and detachment. You want to be careful about over identifying with the patient because you, I have had students and actually nurses that have said, every time that person has pain, I feel their pain. That is not empathy. That is over identifying with them. But you also, on the other hand, and I got to move my hands up because my camera's up high, you want to make sure you don't distance yourself too far from the situation. You don't want to be too close like this or too far away. So, and the other thing you want to avoid is burnout. Be careful about burnout, because sometimes when the nurse is feeling burned out, you lose that ability to empathize. You want to be an attentive listener and offer attentive listening. It's mindful listening. It's not speaking to allow somebody else to speak, but being aware of what they're saying, being mindful that they have something to say. It's an active process, and you're paying attention to verbal and nonverbal messages. So, for example, I probably should stand up. I'll move back a little bit so you can see. So, this is a conversation with my son, and I'm having a conversation with him, and he's on his phone. And so I feel like he is not paying attention to me, and I'm paying attention to his nonverbal messages. Just like if somebody doesn't make eye contact with you, that's a nonverbal message. Or if sometimes I get cold a lot, or at least I used to before menopause. So sometimes I've been in a meeting like this with my shoulders up like that because I'm cold and I'm trying to warm myself up. But it can be construed as a nonverbal message of attitude. So you want to be careful about that and pay attention to that. Listen for any key themes that the patient's discussing, and always be aware of your own biases. If you're aware of your biases, it helps you to prevent further bias or stereotyping or assuming that a situation is unfolding that maybe isn't. Attentive listening is a highly developed skill, but it can be learned with practice. Blocks to attentive listening, and I'm just going to really go through these real quickly, but things are like rehearsing, being concerned with yourself over somebody else, making assumptions, judging, identifying, getting off track. Oh, how many of us have that happen to when you're in the middle of a conversation? And filtering. So you're filtering what they're saying without actually listening to it. Other things, physical attending. You want to face the person squarely. You want to adopt an open posture. Lean in so that they know that you're listening. Maintain good eye contact and try to be relatively relaxed. Another technique is using silence. Silence sometimes can be awkward, but sometimes it's appropriate in therapeutic communication because it encourages the client to communicate. So you ask a question, you don't want to just start talking right away. You want to actually pause, let them think about it, let them let you know if there's something they have to say. That gives them time to ponder. I often will say my husband really takes a long he there's long pauses when you're because he thinks very carefully about what he says. I sometimes wish I had that ability instead of just blurting things out. But that's what you want to do for therapeutic communication. It gives them time to think about what they want to say, and it gives them time to consider alternatives. Look interested while you're waiting in silence, and if it's an uncomfortable silence, that should be broken, and you want to analyze why that happened. Reflecting is repeating the client's message, either verbal or nonverbal, back to them. That's often something that we'll say. So, do you want to tell me more about the pain? Can you tell me more about the situation at home? You repeat what the client says. It can be misused or overused, especially on exams. So you want to use it judiciously. Um, when you're looking at feelings, verbalizing implied feelings in client's comment, and it encourages client to clarify what they're saying. You say that you're feeling unhappy. Can you tell me what you're unhappy about? Or I did that wrong. My reflecting was wrong. You tell me that you're feeling unhappy. So tell me what makes you unhappy.